Next topic, that is boiler blow down process. So what do you mean by blow down process? So in case of boiler, we know that the water after boiling we can produce the steam. That's your nose. So automatically while it producing the steam, along with producing steam, there will be some contaminants deposited over the surface of the boiler. Okay, so that contaminants creates issues. If the water that is a pure one, then there will be no issues. But instead of using a pure water, if water having some impurities, then while it boiling there will be some contaminants, and that contaminants creates issues. Okay, if more solids are put in with the water, they will concentrate and may eventually reach a level where their solubility in the water is exceeded. Okay, so if more amount of impurity is there in the water, that creates issues. Then there will be scale formation, and that scale formation inside the boiler resulting in localized overheating and finally causing boiler tube failure. So the level of concentration of the solids in water, that must be controlled. Okay, that must be controlled. So for that we are using blow down process. Okay, so by doing blow down process, we can maintain the optimum level of total dissolved solids. Total dissolved solids we can call as TDS in the boiler water. That means total dissolved solids in water is having a particular level. Okay, above which the solid particles are there in the steam or are there in the water, that creates issues. So that we can control it out. Total dissolved solids in water level, that we can control with the help of blow down process. In order to protect the heat exchanger, blow down process that is must. Okay, otherwise there will be an issue that relates to heat exchange. Actually, blow down process is a significant source of heat loss if improperly carried out. Feed water treatment. So in order to produce quality steam, we are doing water treatment on water. Okay, if we are conducting the water treatment on water, then we can produce quality steam, and also we can remove deposits and also control corrosion. Okay, so in order to control corrosion and deposits of contaminants, we are thinking only water treatment. So doing that along, we can produce quality steam. Okay, so that is the benefit of going feed water treatment. If there will be a small amount of deposits are there, then there will be better boiler performance, we can make it out, and efficiency will be improved, and service life also we can increase it out. So that's why we need to think about that deposits, how to reduce that deposits. So we are going through the water treatment. Okay, so inside the boiler we can treat the water like a blow down process. That means totally we are removing that water and we are adding some other good quality water into the boiler. After a long time period, again that water will blown it out. Okay, so that is one process, one method. And the other one is we can clear it outside the boiler itself. Actually, boiler, that is a sump of boiler system. Okay, so in order to collect the water, there will be a setup that we can call it as boiler. So in that boiler, there will be pre-boiler contaminants. Okay, so that creates issues. So while the feed water enters into the boiler, and if we are giving the heat energy, then that elevated temperature and pressure creates issues to the water. Okay, why? Because in the water, if there will be contaminants or if there will be impurities, then that water will behave differently. Okay, so that creates issues. That means that contaminants will act with the boiler surfaces. Okay, so that's why we are thinking about feed water treatment. In case of feed water, most of the components are soluble. Okay, so that means I told you that in the water there will be contaminants, and most of the components, they are soluble only. So while heating, they will go with along steam. Okay, but some of the components, they creates issues. Okay, so that particulate solids, but some of the soluble components, they will become as particulate solids, as they may be either in the form of crystallized forms, or that particulate solids may be in the form of amorphous particles, and that creates issues. Okay, so in order to remove these amorphous particle and crystallized forms, we are thinking about feed water treatment. Okay, that creates issues. So that will be a reason for scale or deposit there in the case of boilers. Okay, if we can make it free of these scale or deposits, then there will be a rapid heat transfer, and suddenly we can produce steam, and efficiency of the system increases, and we can reduce the corrosion, and also the lifetime period of the boiler we can improve it out. So that's why we are thinking about feed water treatment. Deposits creates issues. So analysis of that deposits characteristics, that some importance. So next we need to go through the we need to next we can discuss about that deposit characteristics. Okay, so commonly in case of water containing salts of calcium and magnesium. Okay, so that creates the issues. If the water containing salts of calcium and magnesium, that mainly creates the issues. Okay, so these salts of calcium and magnesium, we can call it as hardness salt. Hardness salt. Okay, so while we are heating this water, what will happen? There will be a heating up of this hardness salt also taking place. So that's why that hardness salt will split as carbon dioxide and soft sludges. That soft sludges will settles out. Okay, over the surface of boilers. Okay, so that sludges creates issues. Okay, so in order to remove these sludges, or in order to remove these hardness salts or impurities, commonly we are preferring two methods. Okay, so they are internal feed water treatment, and the other one is external feed water treatment. So mainly in case of internal feed water treatment, we are adding chemicals into the boilers. So by adding these chemicals, that means additional chemicals into the boilers, so what will happen? What will happen? It will prevent formation of scale by converting that scale forming particles into free flowing sludges. Okay, so if you are adding chemicals into the boilers, what will happen? That scale forming particles, that is converted into free flowing sludges. Okay, so automatically we can easily remove that particles. Adding chemicals that is only limited if only a small amount of hardness salts are present in that feed water. If a huge amount of hardness salts present, then this adding chemicals is not effective. So at that time we are thinking about blow down process. That means we are blowing down the total water and we are adding additional water into the boiler. Okay. Next, external water treatment. That means with the help of external water treatment, we can remove suspended solids, dissolved solids, and dissolved gases. So, how we are conducting this? That is next we need to discuss. Okay, so external water treatment means the water treatment which we are conducting before we are adding into the boiler. Okay, so that means before itself we are treatment makes. Okay, so that is here we need to discuss. So commonly external water treatment we are doing with the help of ion exchange or demineralization, reverse osmosis, de-aeration. Okay, so these are the main methods commonly we are using in case of external water treatment. Before going those of these treatment, we need to remove the solids present in the water or the colors that is present in the water. After that only we are going through these processes. Okay. So in this pre-treatment includes simple sedimentation. Okay, we are going through the simple sedimentation. So in order to make the simple sedimentation, we are adding coagulants and flocculants. Flocculants means promotes the clumping of particles. So we can promote the clumping of particles. So automatically there will be a chance to settle down on the tank. Okay, so that means these particles we can settle down on the tank itself. Okay, then after we are passing into boilers. We need to discuss about the energy conservation opportunities in different equipments which we are using in electrical systems. For example, in case of motors, there will be energy efficient opportunities we can consider it out, and also in case of transformer, there are also lot of methods which we can follow in order to improve the energy efficient opportunities. Similarly, in case of boilers, there are different techniques which we can follow in order to work it more efficient. Okay, that boiler. Okay, in case of boilers, there are different methods which we can follow in order to work it that boiler more efficient manner. Okay, so in these areas we can make or we can implement that ideas. So in case of consumption and in case of heat transfer, and if there will be avoidable losses are there, if we are going through that losses, if we can remove that losses, then also we can improve the energy efficient ideas, and that lead to energy conservation opportunities. And also in case of auxiliary power consumption, auxiliary power consumption is the means in order to manage that we can improve the energy conservation opportunities. And also in case of water quality, if we can improve the water quality, then also we can improve the efficiency of that system. And if we are going through, if we are not that much doing the blow down process, automatically the efficiency of the system increases. And similarly, on the basis of blow down process, we can improve the efficiency of the system. Okay. Feed water preheating using economizer. So we can consider under energy conservation opportunities in case of boilers. Okay. So if you are preheating, if you are making preheating, that improves the efficiency of the boilers. You know that in case of a 3-pass shell boilers, it's flue gas temperature. It's actually flue gas temperature. Okay. Flue gas temperature that commonly in the range of 200 to 300 degrees Celsius. Okay. So there is a potential to recover heat from these gases. Okay, that is somehow high level only. Okay, better to keep that temperature in the range of 200 degrees Celsius. That means in case of boilers there will be flue gases. Okay, after using we are removing that gases. Okay, so that flue gases temperature commonly as in the range of 200 to 300 degrees Celsius in case of a three pass shell boilers. So there is a potential to recover that heat from these gases. It is better to keep that temperature in the range of 200 degrees Celsius. Why we need to keep that temperature in the range of 200 degrees Celsius? There may be a chance of sulfur oxides there in the flue gases. That creates issues. Okay, if we are keeping that temperature below 200 degrees Celsius, that sulfur oxides will condense and that will stay on the boiler surfaces. Okay, that may be an issue. That why, because there will be a chance for corrosion. So if we keeping the temperature in the range of 200 degrees Celsius, these sulfur oxides will not condense. Okay, so automatically we can avoid corrosion. In case of clean fuels like natural gas, LPG, their flue gas temperature we can keep well below 200 degrees Celsius. Why? Because there will be no chance for sulfur oxides. Okay, so that's why here the flue gas temperatures we can keep well below 200 degrees Celsius. That's also conserve. There also we can think about the conservation. Okay. Therefore, just consider an older model of a boiler and its flue gas temperature that is 260 degrees Celsius only. Okay, that means it's commonly we need to use it with flue gas having 260 degrees Celsius. With the support of an economizer, by considering that 260 degree, we can reduce it into 200 degrees Celsius. But how we can reduce it? Increasing the feed water temperature 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, if we are increasing that feed water temperature somehow 15 degrees Celsius, automatically that reflects over here also. That means the flue gases temperature we can change into 200 degrees Celsius. Okay, by increasing feed water temperature 15 degrees Celsius. If we are doing that, then overall efficiency of this system we can improve it by 3%. Okay, so feed water preheating using economizer, that also improves the overall efficiency. So in case of energy conservation opportunities, another core topic which we need to consider about combustion air preheating. Okay, so it is an alternative to water heating. Okay, feed water heating similar to that. Air preheating also we can make it out for improving the efficiency. Okay, so in order to improve the thermal efficiency at least 1%, air temperature we have to improve or increase up to 20 degrees Celsius. If we increase the air temperature up to 20 degrees Celsius, then automatically the thermal efficiency of the system increases up to 1%. Okay, in case of modern burners, they can withstand much higher combustion air preheat. Okay, so nowadays there are modern burners, they can handle much higher combustion air preheat. Incomplete combustion, that's also affects energy conservation opportunities. That means the efficiency of the system reduces if there will be incomplete combustion. Okay, so mainly the incomplete combustion in case of boilers that occurs due to shortage of air or surplus of fuel, poor distribution of fuel. So if it is taking place, then there will be a chance for incomplete combustion. Okay, so we can recognize it out by checking its color, or smoke will come it out. So on that basis we can and we will understand that there will be incomplete combustion. So automatically the corrective actions we need to think it out. Okay, suddenly we need to think it about the automatic. Suddenly we need to think it about corrective actions. Okay, next we can go through the automatic blowdown control. So that's also coming under energy efficiency improvements in case of boilers. Okay, a uncontrolled continuous blowdown takes place means then there will be a large amount of heat that will be waste, okay, in the form of waste only. So that's also we need to remove it out, okay, that's also we need to avoid it out. So for that we can think about automatic blow down control. Okay, so if we are thinking about automatic blow down control, then once the impurity there in the water that improves or that increases, at that time it will automatically check it out, and then there will be blow down takes place. Okay, if there will be scale formation or soot formation that creates the issues, that means the efficiency of the system reduces. Scale formation we already discussed it. Similarly the soot, that means that black dirt. Okay, so if that develop means that also creates issues, okay, especially in case of oil and the coal fired boilers, these types of soot will be there. Okay, so they will act as an insulator against the heat transfer. Okay, they will not allow that much heat transfer. Okay, so that creates issues and the efficiency of the boilers reduces. So in order to avoid it, we need to remove, we need to think about the remove of that soot. That's why removed on a regular basis. Okay, this soot we need to remove it out on a regular basis. Okay, we need to go through the effect of boiler loading on efficiency. Okay, maximum efficiency does not occur at a full load. Okay, if the load that is full, at that time we will not get the maximum efficiency. Commonly we will get the maximum efficiency at the 2/3 of full load only. Okay, so there are methods to find it out. So at 2/3 of full load we will get the maximum efficiency. Okay, so if the load that is again reduces, that means if the load that is less than 2/3 of full load, then efficiency also reduces. So it is better to operate that boiler in this load, that means 2/3 of full load. So automatically efficiency improves and energy conservation opportunities we need to think it over there. Okay, thank you. Okay, subscribe my videos and the later videos will be uploaded. Okay, thank you all.